Right. So as you all are aware that these leadership talk sessions are being organized by India International Education Council. India International Education Council, along with the school Lalaji Solutions. IIEC is a not-for-profit organization which is working in the field of education. It has collaborators from 12 countries. It aims to create a better world through education. It also aims to build quality centers for elementary education, which are approachable for all kids. It also tries to find best educational practices across the globe and find ways to implement those in Indian institutions. It also tries to create more awareness on hygiene and learning disabilities. IIEC also publishes a magazine called World Education Review and many other educational reports. It will, start its different chapters in 100 cities by 2022. It will soon, start its membership for institutions and individuals. It also imparts training for leaders, teachers, students, and parents. As I shared in the beginning, that this is our 65th session. So far, successfully, we have organized 64 sessions. We have received 6,256 registrations in last 64 sessions. We have also received 5,471 questions. We have seen participation from 5 countries: India, USA, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Nepal. And from India, we have seen participation from 19 states and 78 cities. We aim to organize 200 sessions. With these sessions, we would be reaching out to 100,000 educators, 20,000 institutions, and 1,000 plus eminent speakers like today's speakers would be joining us to share their perspective. So with this, I would request, please join me in welcoming our key speakers for the day. Our first key speaker, Pramod Sharma sir. He in fact needs no introduction. He's the Vice President and Founder and Principal of Genesis Global School, Noida, Uttar Pradesh. He's a noted academician with almost 5 decades of impeccable experience. He has worked with many prestigious institutions like the Doon School, Dehradun, India School, Kabul, Afghanistan, IGBU Old Grammar School, Ogan, Nigeria, Mayo College, Ajmer, among others. He has been part of some reputed institutions. He has worked there as principal as well, like Tashit Namgyal Academy, Gangtok, Sikkim, Yadvindra Public School, Patiala, Punjab, and Mayo College, Ajmer, Rajasthan. He has done many professional observation stays at many schools across the globe, like Eton College, Loreto School, uh, Cheltenham College, Oakham College, United Kingdom, Deerfield Academy, New England, summer, during the years of 1988 and 2000. He has received many prestigious awards and recognitions like National Award for Teachers from HRD Ministry, Government of India in 2000. He's also received Lifetime Achievement Award by IPSC. We are honored with the presence of Pramod Sharma sir. He would be joining us somewhere around 3:30. So we welcome him. Our next key speaker, Meeta Sharma ma'am. Meeta ma'am is principal with Masuri International School, Masuri, Uttarakhand. She is a distinguished education leader with extensive experience both in India and internationally. She has also worked as principal with Maharaja Sabai Mansingh School, Jaipur, and Modi School, Sikar, Rajasthan. At Modi School, she also laid the foundation of the Modi Academy of Manners and Etiquette in collaboration with a reputed Canadian finishing school. She was also a key part of founding an international school at Karjat, Maharashtra. She has also worked with the Doon School, Dehradun, and headed the science department there. We welcome you, Meeta ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Unfortunately, Mr. P.S. Karla wouldn't be able to join us today. He will be joining us during our later sessions. Our next key speaker, Vibha Khosla ma'am. Vibha ma'am is principal with Shri Ram Global School, Delhi. She's a perspicacious educationist with a preeminent career of 20 years, being adept at educational planning, administration, and a nuteric approach to education. She has a knack for planning, development, and execution of pioneering activities, both academic and extracurricular, that are designed to further enhance the comprehensive development of children. Her specialization also include training of teachers, coordinators, and school heads so as to help spread the academic dynamism and ingrain the passion for innovative teaching in them. She's a certified CBSE resource person for imparting training with a humanistic approach towards the innate potential in a child to exceed. She has made a difference in the lives of many students and been a role model for teachers and heads. It's an honor to have you. Thank you for joining. Next key speaker, Aditi Roy ma'am, she is principal with Mount Columbus School, Delhi. Aditi ma'am graduated from Guwahati University, Assam in Zoology with a master's in entomology and environmental biology. Teaching was her chosen vocation. As head of school, she has ensured learning happens in a joyful yet purposeful manner as we move towards the 21st century. Her focus today is to empower young learners on how to think rationally and critically and create confident individuals who can face the challenges of the unknown future. She has been the recipient of many prestigious awards like Principal of the Year Award 2020, recipient of Principal of Year in 2019, recipient of a 100 Highly Effective Principal Award 2018, Iconic Award 2019 for Best Emerging School in Delhi. She also received a Best Leader Certificate from HRD Ministry in 2013. We welcome you, Aditi ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Our next key speaker, Dr. Pankaj Sharma ji. Dr. Pankaj Sharma is director with SRM University, Haryana. Dr. Sharma has over 22 years of varied experience in sales and marketing in the media, education, FMCG, and IT sectors. He has completed his graduation in electronics honors from Delhi University and received a gold medal in his PGDBM. His research topic in his PhD was consumer behavior. He has completed a one-year diploma from IIM Lucknow in Senior Management Program Global Leadership. He has won many awards and recognitions during his corporate journey. He has served at senior level positions in many organizations like NIIT University, BML Minjal University, the Tribune Trust, Dainik Bhaskar Group, Midday, Indian Express, and ST Media Limited. Thank you, Pankaj sir, for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, Raju. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you.
Our next key speaker, Ms. Dharani Upadhyay. Dharani ji is founder and CEO of Fatado School of Music. Fatado School of Music is India's largest music educator. It is a brand which is synonym to music in our country. It has a 150-year-old rich legacy. Fatados has been working with 200 plus leading schools of India. It has trained over 1 lakh students. So far, it owns many renowned titles like Bandit, Piano Concert, Cadence, Workshop, High Jam Training, FSM Exams, Incentive Recital, FSM Recital. It enjoys partnerships with renowned institutions in music like Berklee College of Music and NMIMS School of Performing Arts. So we welcome you, Dharani ma'am. Thank you for joining. Our next key speaker, Mr. Sunil Dangi. He's the co-founder and CEO of eMango. Mr. Sunil is an IIT graduate from IIT Kanpur. He's having a master's degree in mathematics and scientific computing. He is also an actuary and member on Institute of Actuary, United Kingdom. He has worked with ICICI Prudential, HSBC, and financial risk advisor at Ernst & Young, India and United Kingdom. He's an entrepreneur for last 6 years in telecom, food, and education sector. He has been doing research on career counseling for last few years. So based on that research, he, along with his team, have come up with wonderful solution called eMango, which is a digital career counseling platform. So today we have Mr. Nitin Nagpal, to represent eMango. So with this, I would request our key speakers. We can come to you for your opening remark. I'll just quickly again share the flow that after taking opening remarks from our key speakers, we'll come back to our speakers for the main talk. So that would be for 8 to 10 minutes. And then in the end, we have received many questions. So we would be presenting those questions to you. Right. So, So first I would request Meeta ma'am, have you joined us? Because I don't see your name here. Okay. So now I would request Vibha Khosla ma'am, if we can begin with you, your opening remark, ma'am.
Very good afternoon to everybody, and I would just like to say that the education policy that we've got is awesome, and we all would really love to go ahead and now we want to follow this and implement this as early as possible. And I also want to thank you people for giving this platform. So thank you so much, and really honored.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would request Aditi Roy, ma'am, if we can have your opening remark.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you for having me to share my perspective of the NEP. Because since the draft has come in, we all in the education sector have been very excited about it. Because the main thing was the implementation. And how is it different? Like from 1968, we have been seeing so many policies coming in. The most important task here at hand, the nation wants to know, rather, is how well can we implement this, right? Well, I'll be putting in my 2 cents for you all. Let's see how it is being taken. And thank you once again for having me.
Thank you, ma'am. We're very excited to hear your ideas and views on this. Now, I would request Dr. Pankaj Sharma. Pankaj sir, if we can have your opening remark.
Yeah, thank you, Rajul. First of all, very good afternoon to all of you. I think you have done a wonderful job bringing all these school principals at various levels where we're going to have the discussion about this national education policy. Because I remember in each session, always it's point of a implementation. Because thing is there, I suggest before implementation, it is also important understanding of that policy. Because then only you can implement, and you have to implement because it took around 30 years to change that policy. So that is something, next policy, you don't know when the next policy will come, because we are living in that era where the mobile phone changes every 6 months or every month. The upgradation is very much required, and we are talking last 30 years, and the question is implementation. So my suggestion is, I think we have to have a team, we have to have a strong team who can recommend that how we can implement, and we have to help each other. Whether it is higher education, whether it is school, we have to help each other in the implementation part. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Collaboration is the key, in the modern world. Thank you, Pankaj. I believe Dharni ji here to join us. So now I would request Nitin Nagpal. Nitin ji, we can have your opening remark. Nitin ji, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Rajul. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, sir.
Okay, thank you, Rajul, and thanks everyone for giving out your time. And I congratulate Rajul, you and your team for bringing all of us together for such a wonderful cause. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. These are the three basic principles of education. In the last 3 decades, all the educators have learned a way that we teach and the way we assess our students. NEP 2020 make sure that we learn whatever we have learned till now, and we have to relearn the new ways of teaching as well as assessing our students. And we'll also have to learn the new ways on how the careers are chosen, not through the conventional ways that they have been chosen till now. And for that, we have come up with the eMango, that is Education Management on the Go. I really apologize on behalf of my co-founder Sunil Dangi that he couldn't make it today. And in the later part of our session today, I'll be showing you the technical platform that we have come up with. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Nagpal. With this, we come to the main part of our session, which is the main talk. In fact, in last 64 sessions, we have received diverse views on NEP. But one thing which we have found common among all the education leaders, among all the stakeholders, that people are hopeful. People have lauded this national education policy, but execution, everyone has recognized, would be a key. That would be a key challenge. Yesterday only we had a wonderful session with the head of a very prestigious school. He showed us that there would be 3 challenges: teachers training, how we take the positive part of this policy to the rural areas. That would be another key challenge. So I would request all our key participants for today's session, if we can have some suggestions from your side as well. How do you perceive this policy, and what are your suggestions, your thoughts, which you believe other educators to follow, or government to listen. So now I would request Vibha ma'am, we can begin with you. Your ideas on national education policy, Vibha ji.
Rajul, I guess you are on mute too.
Vibha ma'am, we can see your screen, but you are on mute.
Okay, is the PPT visible?
Yes, yes, it is visible, ma'am.
1 second. Okay, so a very good afternoon to everybody once again. And once again, I would like to thank you for this opportunity. And I would like to say that, earlier when we had the education policy, it was education for all. But now we are trying to give education, but what we have here is that we are going to be focusing on the quality and the certain lacunas which were there that we are again trying to focus on in this policy. So I'll quickly take you there and we'll speak about each one of them, giving just a brief in, I think you give me 10 minutes or 8 minutes. So, okay, so taking that, you're on mute. So the
So
first is, sorry?
yeah, it's 8 to 10 minutes, ma'am. You can talk
Great.
about
So
your ideas.
first is the universal access to education, and now we're talking about right from pre-primary to grade 12. Earlier we were talking in CBSE from grade 1 onwards, but now our target is pre-primary as well. And we are also trying to have 100% gross enrollment ratio in schools. The best part about the policy is that the deadlines also have been given. So by 2030, we are going to be doing this. The next one says about the ECCE, and a lot of focus has been given on this. And I'm going to be speaking on the foundational years only here, that between the age of 3 to 6, rather 0 to 6, by 2025, we are going to be doing a lot of work, replacing the 10 plus 2 with the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, I think, which everybody is aware about. This is something I really loved. Then we also have a lot of focus on the early language and mathematical skills, because earlier, we'll have to actually change the complete thought process that we have. Our perspective for teaching will have to change here. Another thing that is very important is the multilingualism and the power of language, because it's not only English or Hindi, but whatever your mother tongue is, there is a lot of emphasis which is going to be given on that. And I'm sure this is going to help in comprehension and children will learn much better. Then comes the reforms in the exams. So the board exams also are going to be made simpler. Also, we're going to have examinations at in 3rd, in 5th, in 8th, and then 10th and 12th, which is going to come up, and in a very beautiful manner, wherein I think we can talk about the semester system and all the other things that are coming up. Then our assessment, because everybody assesses a person in a different manner, but we are getting the assessment also on the same platform, which is again a very beautiful initiative and very easily doable also. I mean, anything that is mentioned in the policy is very easily doable, provided we all join hands and we believe that we can, and it will happen. The target for inclusive and equitable education has been given, wherein we are talking about the disadvantaged group, we are talking about the girl child, we are trying to get them forward. Then we are also talking about the socio-cultural identity of children, and we are even penetrating to the tribal region also. That's also something that was very nice. The teachers, because they are the ones who are the doers. So again, the teachers are going to be strengthened. Their professional development is going to be taken care of, which is extremely beautiful here. There are going to be standards which are going to be set up, which everybody is going to follow. And then the vocational education, because in our country, what happens कि school कर लिया, अब what after this? BA कर लिया, अब what after this? करना क्या है? So vocational education is going to be strengthened, and when vocational education will be strengthened, our children and the masses, who are in school, they can get their jobs right after that. So definitely there is going to be a lot of improvement. Now, talking about the structural change at the foundation level, very nicely, they have made it 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. And this is what I really loved, and I wanted to, since you gave me the time to start, I'm starting with this, that we know that 85% of the brain development takes place prior to the age of 6 years. And this is where we have just ignored it earlier. But now we are getting our focus to this area. And now our pre-primary and primary teachers are going to get some recognition, because in a school I have seen that when you're teaching grade 11th and 12th or 10th or 9th, you look down at these teachers. But are we, understanding that the kind of work these people do? So it's very important that this curriculum is taken into account. And we also again have a deadline by 2030. We are going to ensure that our children are prepared for grade 1. Now, how are these children going to get prepared? The ECC is going to be strengthened. There's going to be a lot of flexibility, multi-level teaching. There is going to be play-based, activity-based teaching. Critical thinking will be there. Inquiry based will be there. If we're doing alphabets, it's not going to be separate. The compartments have to be removed. The language will improve. Counting, numbers, shapes, indoor, outdoor play, puzzles, the logical thinking, painting, visual arts, puppetry, music and movement, all these things will be given sufficient focus, and a structured curriculum for this is going to be made. Now, NCRT and SCRT are going to be developing this program into two parts, from 0 to 3 and from 3 to 8 years old, and this will become standardized. Once this is standardized, we are going to help our children learn in the same beautiful manner. So here I'm not talking about only the metropolitan cities or the NCRs. I am talking here about our complete vast country. So our rich heritage which is there, which we are now talking about doing a project from grade 1, we'll be talking about this right from our pre-primary now. We'll be involving art, the pedagogy will change, storytelling, poetry, games, songs, and this is not only going to be helpful for children, but also for the parents, because they will also learn. So, as a principal heading a school and as a teacher, what I've always thought is not to teach the way we were taught, but to teach them in a way that we were not taught and we wanted to learn. So that pedagogy is something that is going to come forward, and we're going to have a lot of innovative ideas. Now, this program is going to be focusing on the social capacity, the behavior, the courtesy, the ethics, so giving the value system, even cleanliness, the teamwork, the cooperation. So that's these all areas to make a complete human being are going to be strengthened. We are going to strengthen the physical, our development is going to be there, motor development is going to be there, cognitive development, artistic development, literacy, numeracy, all these things are going to be taken care of. Now, coming to, when I said foundational years and coming to the grassroots level is Anganwadis. So how do we attach them with the preschool? How do we attach them to the, schools? And how do we have a smooth transition right from a Anganwadi to a preschool to a primary school? So this is something that we are going to be working on. Another important aspect that I really liked is that they are going to be taking care on about the health. So health checkups and the growth monitoring is going to become vital here. Also the food, because unless they, we say pet nahi bhara to kuch samajh nahi aata. So we have lot on a platter, but there are people who don't get food. How will they think about education? So government has also taken these things into account, and I feel that it's very easily doable. And how is it doable is with our teachers. So the teacher training is going to be extremely important here. And Aditi ma'am will talk about this in detail, but I'm just going to say that, at the ECC level, if somebody has not done till grade 12th, we are giving them a training for 6 months so that they're equipped to handle children. And in case they don't have the qualification, they again have 1 year complete extensive training so that these people can handle students, children nicely and contribute towards the growth. There is going to be continuous professional development for the teachers, and for ashram shalas also going to be there, which are going to be catering to the tribal domains, so that every area, is developed. So MHRD, which is now called as the Education Ministry, is also going to ensure that we are linking all the other ministries also along. So the work is done in a very nice manner. Now, we are working that we'll have universal foundation literacy and numeracy in these primary schools by 2025. Then teacher recruitment with a lot of local teachers. So a lot of people will get occupation and a lot of people will get strengthened. Another important point that they have done and got it forward is the pupil teacher ratio. So there is no limit. CBSE is giving us limits, but are we following those limits? But here it comes. So when you get that yes, it has to be followed, that we are going to have the pupil teacher ratio of 30:1. So that has to be ensured. That's something really nice that I liked about. And another thing which is extremely again good is that when a child is coming to grade 1, there is a complete 3-month program which they're developing to ensure that the parameters are met and all the children have been trained accordingly. And it's not going to be just a read and write test, but it is going to take into consideration all the areas of learning, and there's going to be holistic learning there, and NCRT and SCRT are again going to be taking care of this. Diksha portal, which is the digital infrastructure for knowledge, is getting strengthened, and already we have lots, and I think there is so much more that we can work about it. There'll be more portals that will be developed. Books are going to become interesting. So that's how that's what the policy is saying. Now, how do we implement the change is the big question, that how can we at our level go ahead and implement the change. So I have a few suggestions that I have put across, and specifically rightly starting from the foundation stage, that when you're talking about it in a metropolitan city, so you may be listening to me and you may be saying that, oh my god, what is he talking, we are already doing all these things. But are we thinking about our villages? Are we thinking about our tribes, where tribal areas where there is no electricity, there is no water, they have no access to mobile phones? How do we reach there? So I have actually divided this into 3 parts, that how it can be done. So one, the stages of implementation can be taken at 3 parts. One is at the individual level, one is at the school level, and one is at the national level. Now, when we talk about the individual level speaks all about the teacher training. So the teachers have to be empowered, they have to be given the freedom, they have to be given the opportunities, they have to have clear expectations, the learning outcomes, how they have to proceed. All these things have to be cleared, and they have to be professionally strengthened with continuous learning. So that hand holding has to be given to teachers. Now, I'm not only talking about the teachers that we have who are trained, but I'm also talking about the teachers who are going to be teachers after this training. So we are going to empower these people so that they can take things further. Now, when they can take these things further and they're strong enough, we come to the school level, that how a school is going to go ahead and do this. So, the presentations which are there could be used as tools for speeches, reports, and much more. We could have bilateral learning. Now, by bilateral learning, I mean that we generally say that I'm in a metropolitan city and I'm the only person who has the capability of to teach others how to teach. But I would here differ in my opinion and say that, the children who are there in the villages or in the tribal areas, they also can be extremely smart and we can learn from them, because these children are actually doing the experiential learning. So if there is a farmer who's grown cotton, and they are plucking the cotton out of the pods, so that is the eye hand coordination which is happening. That is the practical learning. That child can explain it to you कि cotton kaise ugani hai. That child has that occupation right from the beginning because the child has lived with that. So this way we can have exchange of knowledge and we can have bilateral learning. We can make learning more practical and experiential. The sessions which are recorded for one place can be floated on the other, and we can have those sessions for everybody so that everybody can actually reap the benefit. Good practices can be shared. And like we have peer hand holding of the students, we can have peer hand holding of the teachers. We have hubs of learning given by CBSE. Why can't we have the teachers attached to teachers in some other state, and they're helping them? So that's another thing, that peer hand holding can be done. And the teacher has to move from my class to my country. The thinking dynamics have to change. Our focus has to change from mera bacha, mera school, meri class. That thing has to be opened, and we have to focus on children, that we are working for children, and it has to be for all the children. At national level, I have a few that I have mentioned. One, entertainment. I have made it as infotainment. So we are creating lesson plans, and we are trying that we get these lesson plans by broadcasting on TV or radio to the masses. Then we are strengthening the apps and making them more user friendly, so it's very easy to go ahead and learn from them. And another thing that is required in the metropolitan cities as well is about leaving the pen and paper, specifically in grade 1 and 2. Because grade 1 and 2, we start, chalo likho. So that writing has to go, our minds have to be cleared, and we have to give them more experiential learning, where their communication skills are, strengthened, where their gross motor skills and fine motor skills and competencies, these are developed. Then teaching in mother tongue is an excellent idea, though this could create an issue, because English, we want English all the time. But then if a child can comprehend, so the child will learn that language as well. Then assessment of learning has to be replaced by assessment for learning. And the last point is that it is mandatory that everybody enrolls their child in school. तो अगर आप आधार कार्ड ही तब दीजिए जब उसका बच्चा स्कूल में है, या राशन कार्ड पे राशन तब दीजिए जब उसका बच्चा स्कूल में है. So this is something that has to be made mandatory. And not taking more time, there are a lot of learned and eminent people here that I would also like to hear. I would just say that progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. So instead of finding that implementation is difficult, let's all work towards this change, and I'm sure we can all go ahead and do it. Thank you so much. Thanks once again.
Thank you, Vibha ma'am. You in a very brief way and very efficient way, touched upon all the positive part of this national education policy. We'll come back to you with questions, Vibha ma'am. Meanwhile, we have also been joined by Meeta Sharma ma'am. Welcome, Meeta ma'am. We have also been joined by Ms. Dharani Pade. Dharani ji, welcome. With this, now I would request Aditi Roy ma'am, your thoughts and ideas on NEP.
Yes, good afternoon once again. When we are talking about NEP, and like as just now Bibha ma'am has explained it so lucidly, that one of this major components of NEP is the teacher training. I have a question here. I mean, I won't make it generalized, but my question here is, how many people, those who are into teaching, are into it because of the love for teaching? Because it's, I'm talking, from my experience, that what I have seen is that most of the teachers, those who have joined, are for two reasons. I've completed my graduation, post-graduation, and I'm yet to get something more substantial, more meaningful. In the meanwhile, why don't I take up teaching? I think most of us would agree to it. And in the long run, we continue with the teaching. Yes, this is much easier. It's much easier. You have a fixed time, and all the okay, you don't have targets to fulfill. You don't have all this. So with this, the entire teaching thing has, maybe. Again, I'm saying I'm not generalizing it, but yes, there are people, those who have joined in just for wailing away the time at some point of time. Maybe now they are very good teachers because they have now improved themselves. And so, like when we look back into the iconic Kothari Commission, the statement which they say that of all the different factors which influence the quality of education and its contribution to the national development, it is the competence and the character of teachers. So we have to remember that our teachers, we instead of, our teachers, we need to actually, make them competent enough to be able to handle all situations. Do not handhold always. Handhold them for a certain period, leave them on their own. Let them, work it out. So I would say that, when we maybe compare our present NEP and the Kothari Commission of so many years back, what we see that most of the components were there. The problems and the, the solutions also were there, except the 21st century, the teaching skills, the 21st century skills. Besides that, everything was there. But then what went wrong? Only one thing was the implementation. So do we say that we are bad implementers? We are not able to implement what we talk. We talk, we discuss and discuss and discuss, but nothing comes out of it later. So that should not happen. I think we all must remember when CCE came in, half of the teaching fraternity was not aware कि करना क्या है. I mean, करना जो भी है, करते कैसे हैं इसे? That was the, and we all half-baked, do this, do that, trial and error, nothing came out of it, right? So I think NEP is being more focused on it. NEP is more focused on this teacher training part. So there was a Justice Verma Commission report in 2012. It had given a statement, I would say it's an iconic statement. It said that a broken teacher education system is putting over 370 million children at risk. So this is really worrisome. If we are not able to, I am a teacher. Never mind that I'm heading a school, but I'm still a teacher. So if I am not able to, implement what I'm thinking is correct, then it's my failure. I would not say that my teachers are a failure. If I am not able to, I don't have the, clear perspective of what NEP wants me to do, then I will not be able to implement it in my school either, right? So there's and here is when teacher training comes into, more focus. I'll give you an example of a survey done in Chhattisgarh. This survey was done, Chhattisgarh has around 50,000 students in around 1350 schools. Out of that, 7 pilot schools were taken and random testing were done. And it showed that out of the 7 schools, only 7, and this testing was done only on grade 3 students. English, grade 3, no rocket science, right? And this grade 3, it was found that 17% only had proficiency in reading. Now, what does English reading in grade 3 have? A sentence, maybe 2-3 sentences together, nothing, no rocket science, but only 17% students could actually read. And leave reading, 13% students could comprehend what was written. So just think that this is our education system. So what this particular company did was, they, instead of, focusing on the children, they focused on the teachers. They tried to make, because we have to remember these were rural schools. As we talk about, we always talk about urban setting, because I'm sitting in Delhi and I'm thinking everyone has the, bandwidth of resources, which I have, which might not be true, right? So they whatever resources these schools in Chhattisgarh they had, they made worksheets and all these things and small tools, and they worked on these teachers for about 3 months. For about 3 months. So after 3 months, they again conducted this survey on the same set of schools, on the same set of children. And what they found was that the reading proficiency from 17% went up to 80%. And the comprehension proficiency from 13% went to 76%. So what happened? Nothing happened. Nothing, no new students came in. The teachers were rigorously trained on using whatever resources they had. Not that, okay, you don't have this, you have to get this. But they tried to make use of whatever was present. So with that, they had actually done a lot of improvement, and that actually made a difference. So here is what NEP says, that we understand most of the time, I'll be very candid here, because I have around 100 teachers with me. So half of the teaching fraternity is so unmotivated, right? Dispirited. So we need to actually bring them up. If they're unmotivated, if they're really not doing the work they are supposed to do, then I don't think we alone can blame the teachers. We are also responsible, right, as heads of schools. So what is that, here is like what we can do is, instead of blaming the teachers for this poor learning outcomes, let us focus on them. And how do we focus on them? Let us do actually a 360-degree overhauling of what exactly. In overhauling, I'm not saying that, okay, we find out teachers that, okay, you're not good, so you go. And this is good, and I'm going to keep her. No, not at all. Whatever we have, improving that, taking the cream, IIT does a fabulous work in India, but they're taking the cream. We have to remember that, right? The IIMs, they take the cream. So what if I can take very, very average teachers and develop them? And that can happen only when I can, properly implement this teacher training. So for this teacher training, I think the first step to it is they have to unlearn what they have learned till now. The reason being, I'll say, the teachers till now, teachers were into the mode of we are still, we are into 21st century. Some schools do. I won't again generalize it. Some schools really are into 21st century skills. But what is happening is our teachers are educated in the 19th century, 10th, 20th century. No one is educated in the 21st century, and they are implementing that itself in their teaching. मैंने ऐसे पढ़ा है, मैं ऐसे ही पढ़ा रही हूँ. I have not changed my way of teaching. So unless we are, ready to let go of these mental blocks, that I can do improvement also, it needs. So breaking this stereotype, compartmentalized education. NCERT is trying to compartmentalize, but one thing, yes, we have to remember that we are very comfortable in our own space. The moment a new thing comes up, now the first worry is, फिर से नया कुछ आ गया. Now again, we have to do something new. So let us be a little bit more open to it. And I would rather suggest that every teacher, if they focus on how to teach, not the way that they have been taught, but the way we now are looking at education, right? At the way we are looking at education. So that would make much sense, because, actually teacher training programs, we had a lot of training programs, many things happened, but the ultimate, you see this when we, I hope everyone has seen that there are many WhatsApp videos on the run, where from some rural background, a teacher is asked, spell January, spell February, and I find it so humiliating. Because because I don't consider myself much evolved than them, because she's a teacher, I'm also a teacher. If a teacher at this stage is asked to spell correctly a sentence, or pronounce something correctly, or a word, it shows where we still are. And we have to remember that the teacher eligibility test, 85% of teachers are not able to qualify that. So what went wrong, and where are we wrong? All these teachers are graduate, postgraduate, and they have done well. But why is this? We are not looking at it the way we should be looking at it. That is what is my, maybe what I am looking at. So this, the National Curriculum Framework for Teachers Education, which is going to come up in next year, the NCFTE, which is going to, it will be, a broad guideline of teacher education, their pre-service and post-service training. Because once I had done my B.Ed somewhere in the 90s, and I cannot forget that my B.Ed course was a one-year course. because I am an oldie now in the learning sector. But I have done my training then. I need to train myself now again. I shouldn't be feeling that I know all. So the in-service teaching training, in-service as well as the pre-service teachers training, vocational, the special education sectors, all these actually need to be looked upon. If the teachers are trained properly, let them write the learning outcomes, the lesson plans based on the learning outcomes. We say about Bloom's taxonomy, but Bloom's taxonomy, we are still, at the base of the Bloom's taxonomy. I think as teaching fraternity, all of those who are here knows that this is one of the Bibles of teachers, the Bloom's taxonomy. So we are still at the base, understanding and knowledge. We haven't come up beyond that. So let our teachers, CBSE has given us learning outcomes. There's a ready reckoner, but why can't we do it ourselves also? We can teach the teachers how properly they can think about the learning outcomes, the creative ways, because now we know that, online education, though it was forced on us, online was forced on us. We did not take it very okay, theek hai. It was not an option. So it was forced on us and we went on implementing it and improving on it. I mean, one day at a time. But this is going to stay. This is not going to go away anyway now. So this is going to stay. And when this is going to stay, we have to think about how we can improve on it. Because now it's no more, we cannot think that agar hum na hote to bacche to murkh reh jate. We cannot think it that way, right? We have to understand that whether I am there or not there, my child has got lots of avenues to learn from. So if I need to be there, I have to be better and better every day. Darwin's theory, here it comes. That selection of the best. So we have to, here we need to train the teachers, actually handhold them very strongly. And this teacher eligibility test, which now will be conducted by NTA, that is extremely important. There'll be dual majors also in the bachelor's degree, and from where teachers can do their B.Ed, which will be a 4-year integrated program. So all this, and the national professional standards for teachers, this is going to come up 2 years down the line. 22, it is going to come up. It will be created so that teachers have the continuous professional development happens. And one very important thing for the teachers is that it will not remain. Now NEP says that your promotion, your salary increase will not be based on your seniority. It will rather be based on your appraisal of how better work you have done. It does not mean you're 20 years senior. I'll tell you, this is for my personal experience, that when I was, for the boards, question paper setting for the boards, I had been part of it for a few years, and we had very senior teachers there, and they said, "नहीं madam, ये question मत रखिए, ये ना बहुत हमने ये नहीं करवाया, ये बड़ा, and so ये मत रखिए थोड़ा सा." So and we had to keep quiet. After all, senior teachers, I was a young person and I was very, enthusiastic. कि ये question डालिए, वो question डालिए, and I was made quiet. नहीं ma'am, ऐसा नहीं होता है. So we have to understand that seniority is important. I won't say it will be done away with, but along with seniority comes your responsibility of proving yourself that with seniority you really have that extra edge, that you need to be better than the others. And 50 hours of the CPD, that is mandatory. Now teachers, those who are out there listening, please, pull up your collars and be ready with, if you're not doing it yet, to do it. And I would say that, in metros or, tier 2 cities, it is still easier because schools, principals, managements, they have this idea that teachers need to be trained. Continuously, they need to be trained. But it's only, when we are talking about NEP, we are talking about the entire country. And I have, because I have been a resource person for different publishers also, and I've gone to throughout the length and the breadth of the country, and I've seen teachers really, they're struggling. I won't say they are not good. They are good, but they are really struggling because the know-how is less. Maybe now with the online being more open up and you are being, forced into it, maybe things are a little bit
Absolutely.
better. Yeah, things are a little bit better. But yes, all in all, I won't take much of more. We can come back later because
Absolutely. We have received many questions, and we would be coming back to you with questions as well.
yes, right. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And you have talked about the teachers' training is going to be key. And second point, you have also emphasized upon that the willingness of teachers for the training is going to be the more important key. Uh, in fact, many educators during our last 64 sessions have raised this point that most of the teachers don't come to this profession because of their own choice. But many professionals also believe that this is the same case for all other industries. You look at around, and when we see at other industries, so many people, very few people take that informed decision before choosing a particular field. And many experts and professionals also do believe that there is a lack of OJT, on job training for teachers, that rigorous program in most of the schools. I was just reading a report few days back that across country, just 56% schools have access to electricity, and a state like Bihar have access to 9.5% schools have access to electricity even in 2020. So they are high challenges. So with this, now I would request. Uh, I believe Meeta ji have just lost the signal. Right. So now I would request Dr. Pankaj Sharma, if we can come to you, sir. We can understand
Thank you,
your
Raju.
idea.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I just give you good afternoon to all of you, all the speakers and all the listeners. And a very compliment to you, Rajul, the kind of a speaker you have today. Very energetic, Aditi ma'am and Vibha ma'am. Really, I enjoyed listening both of them. And I coined one word, KKH, after listening your thought. Now you will be wondering what is KKH, and both of you used that. करना क्या है, करना कैसे है, करना कब है, करना किसको है. I think if we can able to identify all these things, the things will be done. With this, I give my little of experience with school because I joined higher education system long back 2012. I started my journey with NIT University, then worked with Manjal, then I'm with SRM University Sonipat. And during my admission hunt, I will use this word admission hunt because now universities are going to schools. And it is not just for admissions. University really want to collaborate a lot of things with the schools, and we have done that in past. So what I believe, this policy is really good. Any change is good. And you have to really come out from our comfort zone. People are really not open for change initially. That's the reason I raised the point. Understanding of this policy is very important. And then implementation part. I give you a few examples. Our founder, he started as a school. Then we gradually started the university. Now we have almost more than 22 institutions, and we have 80,000 students studying with us. We go anywhere across the world, you will find one person, one student studied from SRM University across any campuses. So what is my experience from this school? Whenever we go to a school, every school has a different kind of environment. Every school has a different kind of a capability, and it depends upon the where in which city you are going. If we talk about Delhi schools, they are really very well equipped to implement this policy, but still there are few challenges like teacher training and maximum the point which is coming about the vocational part. That's a very good part of the policy where we feel as an higher education institution that we can bring corporate to the schools. I know I'm associated with one of the school, Tagore International School, Eastern Kailash. They took a very good initiative. Miss Malika is there as a principal almost 2 years back. Now the COVID, we are doing everything online, as Aditi ma'am said, though it is a forced kind of thing, but we have no option. So what they implemented, they requested some of the parents, and they said that some of the students want to do some kind of a training. And you believe me, the parents came forward and they arranged a lot of internship for the students, and it's just a 2 weeks internship, 1 week internship, just to give exposure to the students. Suppose you want to become a doctor, but you have never visited any doctor, not as a patient, as a professional that I want to be a doctor or I want to be an engineer. When you have personally seen the environment, the working environment, and the requirement, what a doctor or what an engineer or what a lawyer should have, student can take a call. Yes, this is really we are looking for. So what I believe that getting into a vocational kind of intervention at school level is very, very helpful for the students as well as for the teachers. Second point, which this policy talk about, lot of there is no boundary. You can have a lot of options as a student, as a subject is concerned. This we have implemented in our university 3 years back, which we say choice-based credit system. You're an engineer, but you want to study law. You want to become a lawyer, but you want to study some part of physics. That is where the student is really interested for, and that gives lot of learning, lot of confidence to that student. So that policy is talking about this. You can have a lot of choices, but again, the point is challenge. You have to have a faculty, you have to have a timetable schedule like that. This is really because I know whenever you have one or two students looking for particular subject and you don't have the faculty or teacher to teach that subject, is really a challenge. So some things are very good, but some things are really in terms of implementation is going to be a very challenging. But yes, as in higher education institution or as in school, as ma'am correctly said, that we have to really work in a team. Some of the school, every school has a unique kind of qualities. I think it is important that one should bring on some platform where they can share that this is my expertise, how we can implement this expertise to make sure that we will able to create one good citizen. I was just watching one video yesterday on WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is nowadays is giving you a lot of insights. And there was a video from Pakistan, and it was something about that Pancharwala story. And he said that, if you have a scope of corruption, if a leader is a very sincere person, but down the line, if there is a corruption exists, then you cannot do anything. Why I have taken this example? Because in school or in a corporate or in a university, if anything going to be or anything you are going to implement good, you will have a lot of opposition. You have a lot of challenges internally how to implement that. So what I felt, what I suggest, if we can create a platform internally in a school, and as Viva ma'am explained about this policy, very well explained, and the same can be explained to all the stakeholders. When I say all the stakeholders, obviously teachers, students, and also parents. If we can take all this into consideration, you will find a lot of helping hands come from the student. When I say student, you have alumni student also. Parents, they will definitely, you cannot even think what kind of a support they can give you. And we have tried. We have tried in Tagore School. We have tried in our university also. Second, bringing corporate, because end of the day, student has to go to a corporate. So where higher education institution really help. Whenever I go to a school, I always ask to a student, what do you want to become? And you, as a school teacher, and really it's very surprising, nobody said that I want to become a teacher. I don't know why. That is something has to come from the school children, that yes, I want to become a teacher, because I remember my physics teacher, but what he told me in 1993, I still remember. He said, if you want to study physics for your whole life, then don't study. If you really don't want to study physics for your whole life, then only study. Because what I felt, what I experienced, getting into this profession when you have no option, with due regard, that is something we have to change. And this policy has a lot of things to create. For example, you are a student, you are joined a higher education journey. There is an exit policy. After first year, you want to have a break. There's a certificate program, then diploma, then degree. These kind of options, they were not there. And having said, we also have to understand the students, what this age, the students, what is going in their mind. I have two kids. My daughter is in class 12th and son is in class 10th. I also own a many WhatsApp group. But the way this generation is, they are so fast. And that's my suggestion why I told this point, because the students will give lot of inputs in implementation of this policy. So with this, I will remember this KKH word, really very good word you gave, ma'am, both of you. So I just extended to KKH into करना क्या है, कैसे करना है, कब करना है, and किसको करना है. So that with that, I just want to stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. KKH with KKK. किसको क्या और कैसे? Right. Thank you, Pankaj sir, for suggesting us that we certainly need a very strong collaboration between academia, school level education, schools and higher education, and also industries. So big thanks, Pankaj sir, for sharing your ideas. Now I would request Meeta ma'am, if we can have your views and ideas on national education policy. Meeta ma'am, I believe you are on mute.
I think it's okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible, ma'am.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Meeta Sharma. I'm full of Masuri in our school. And, currently I'm on leave. My school is a hill school with, it has academic session from January to December. And I live in Bangalore, like down south I am. And having the speakers before me, Aditi, and then, admission and our program, a lot has covered. So, what benefits of being speaker at towards the end of the program is that you don't have to speak much. Most of it is already covered. Having said that, there are points that I'd like to raise. The NEP has been covered from all aspects by the speaker before me, but that I would like to. And these points, but yet I would like to raise them in a different light.
Ma'am, your voice is not, ma'am. I have a suggestion. Your voice is not clear. You are talking a very good thing, but we are not able to listen, ma'am. If you can, if there's an internet issue, you can switch on the video. Then maybe that will help, ma'am.
Okay, let me do that. I'll switch off my video. Is it okay now?
Better, ma'am.
Now?
Yes, it is better now.
Yeah. Okay. So what? Yeah. So what I would like to say is that I'm going to raise certain points which have been raised before me, but I'll be raising them in a different light instead of kind of speaking about the NEP. The first thing I would like to say is implementation of anything new is always a challenge, and challenges can be met with successfully. It's only time with which we shall improve upon how we deal with the NEP. So that, of course, is going to be there. So there's nothing new about meeting a challenge, whether it's implementation or not. The second thing I'd like to, I'm just picking up from certain points which I heard about the CCE. CCE was actually brought in a hurry with the no detention policy from Finland. And after almost a decade or maybe 7 to 8 years, when we started realizing the impact, the long-term impact of CCE and non-detention, the government rolled it back very, very fast. Even the rolling back was very, very fast. So these are kind of things that one has to keep in mind. The time frame of implementation, yes, implementation will be a challenge. And the second is the long-term effect of it. So very openly, things should be deliberated and considered upon. The third thing I would like to talk about is the language divide. Now, the NEP says that it's advisable till primary section if the content can be taught in the mother tongue. How is that going to help a child who has to finally migrate to learning in English and compete with the contemporaries who are across the world? Do we still want our children to think in their mother tongue and think in Hindi and then migrate to English? Or do we want to become like countries where even higher education is in the mother tongue? So why this sudden transition of migration, and what will be the impact of it? And this probably maybe in schools, because we are, the economic status of our country also varies. In schools across the country, some schools would probably do it in their mother tongue language. Some would probably do it in English. This difference in terms of analytical capabilities of students to think in English is definitely going to take a toll. So that is one thing. The next thing is, since I come from an elite school, and this school is actually, this very next point is actually worrying me, is that the NEP is talking about, school hubs. It is talking about one school, which is going to be the central school, and then the neighboring schools, or maybe not so privileged schools, are going to be in the hub of that school. And this one school would be sharing all its resources, human resources as well as material resources with all these other schools. Whereas there is no mention of any aid being given to this school. Now, my point is that sharing is great. Bringing up the society altogether is great. But, if you look into the financial aspect of it, if I have in my school around 100 computers and they're being utilized by 100 girls, and with this policy, they'll be utilized by 400 girls, 400 students for that matter, the life of that material thing will also go down. The hub school, the central school, will have to invest more if it's going to be sharing its resources with all other schools. There is no harm, but there is no talk about any financial aid to this particular school either. Right. The next thing, of course, is going to be the assessment. I would like to talk about the assessment of the national education policy. There is a mention in one of the points that the assessment would be done by a central organization. Where is the scope of CBSE and ICSE left? Is there any scope for CBSE and ICSE, or are we only talking about one board, which will be the national board throughout the country? So there is no clarity even on that. Right? The schools have been kind of demarcated as private schools and public schools, but how is the assessment going to take place is really something that really requires certain inputs and certain clarity, which is required. The last 4 years within schooling, which is probably being spoken about as 8 semesters, where multiple subjects could be taken after each semester, as in like there would be a diversity of subjects, and the children would probably pass out as rounded individuals, whereby they would have a knowledge of almost everything, because they would be encouraged to pick up diverse subjects so that they end up knowing a lot of things. For instance, when I passed out of school, I was a science student. I knew nothing about commerce. And for nearly 2-3 years, whenever I would sit down in front of the television to hear the budget session, I could not comprehend all those terms which were, mentioned in the budget. Probably the children who would now pass out would also have more knowledge in variety of spheres as compared to one sphere. But how is it going to be transiting into the higher education sphere? These children will have knowledge of almost everything, but not in depth. So are we revamping the higher education to ensure that the basics of a particular subject at higher level are also taught? The transdisciplinary subjects are kind of taken care of. I come from a background of having taught the international curriculum, be it the International Baccalaureate or the Cambridge curriculum. And the variety of choices which are there, the kind of transdisciplinary learning, the experiential learning that we are all talking about, I would say NEP is actually doing something which is already there. We are just picking up the best practices across continents, across boards, and bringing them into our country, which is, it's worthy a huge applaud. So I would say, given the digital divide, given the economic divide, given the category of schools, schooling is definitely the same, but given the category of schools in cities, in the interiors of the country, one really will have to think about the implementation of this policy, which will be a challenge and which should be tackled in a manner so that to make this an effective change. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neeta ma'am. you highlighted the challenging part of this policy, and you very rightly highlight this, that there is no monetary incentive which is being mentioned in this policy for the school hubs. So we'll come back to you, ma'am, with questions. Now I would request Ms. Dharni Upadhyay. Dharni ji, if we can have your ideas and thoughts. Dharni ji, I would request if you can unmute yourself and we can have your ideas and thoughts.
Yes, sure. Hi, Rajul. Hi. Good evening, everybody. It's almost evening. Yes, and lovely to listen to some really very power-packed and very focused conversations all through the afternoon. Um I think, I like the fact that there are various dimensions that NEP has presented, which are definitely very, very high order and are going to, call for magnanimous effort on the part of educators, policymakers, and probably transform the whole academic system in a big way. But I think, in my view, this NEP is finally really going to shake the system and bring about a change that was so much needed, so much wanted. I think I love the fact that someone